To set up guided access, we're going to start by going into our iPad or iOS settings. Scroll down on the left-hand column until you find accessibility. Then scroll to the very bottom on the right-hand column and find guided access. Turn the toggle on so that it shows green. Tap on passcode settings and enter your desired passcode for guided access. Some TalkLink devices have already been set up with a guided access code of TALK, T-A-L-K. You'll need to enter your passcode twice. Guided access is now set up on your device. The key function of guided access is to lock a user into a specific app. So let's have a look how that works. I'm going to open TouchChat, and now I'm going to click quickly 3 times on the iPad's home button. And you'll see that it now comes up with a notification advising me that guided access has started. If I click on that home button again now, you'll see a message at the top of the screen advising me that guided access is enabled and that I need to triple click on the home button and enter my passcode to get out of the app. T-A-L-K, and that gives me the options screen, and I can now choose to end the guided access session on the top left hand side or resume it on the right hand side. Another useful function of guided access is the ability to block off specific areas of the screen so that they do not respond to touch. Here I'm using predictable, and I have seen that some people have issues with accidentally hitting the settings cogwheel in the bottom row when they try and type an X, for example. So if we go into guided access, triple click, I'll triple click again so that I get my options screen. As you'll see at the bottom, there is a note that says circle areas on the screen you would like to disable. So if I draw a box around this settings cog, you'll see that it now has a little grey area with an X on it. That area of the screen will now be disabled when I start my guided access session. So you'll now see that that cogwheel is greyed out. If I touch on that cogwheel, it does not work, but the rest of the screen still functions as usual. To clear that disabled area, I now triple click again on the home button, enter my passcode, and click on the small X on the side of that box. If I resume guided access now, that button will be accessible. This ability to disable part of the screen may also be useful when you have a child reading a book on an iPad and you would like them to be able to finger track the words in the book without turning the page or setting off other functions that may be attached to that page. Here I have a book in Epic. I'm going to triple click the home button to turn on guided access, triple click again to get to my options screen, enter my passcode, and this time I'm going to draw my box around the majority of the screen, just leaving some borders on either side for turning the page. If I hit resume now on guided access, it does grey out that area of the screen a little, but you'll see that I can now turn the page by tapping on the outsides, the areas that are not greyed out. The child will also be able to drag their finger along on the screen under the words without turning the page or setting off any other functions on that page. Do note, however, that the child will not be able to select other books whilst that section of the page is disabled. You will need to go out of guided access to go back into the menu to select another book. A further useful function of guided access is being able to place a time limit on how long a user spends in a specific app. So here I am in my Jigsaw Puzzle app, and when I go into guided access, I'll go again so I get to my options screen, into my passcode. If I go to options, you'll see the very bottom option is time limit. If I turn that on, I can set how long I want to spend in it. So if I set this to 1 minute and then resume, it now tells me that guided access has started with a 1 minute time limit. So I can now spend a minute working on my activity. It will give me a warning when I'm coming up to my limit. So there we go, 29 seconds remaining. And then once my time is up, it tells me my time has expired, and I now need to be able to put in my guided access passcode to get out of that screen. Finally, let's review some other options available in the guided access options menus. In the bottom left-hand corner is the options button, and there are a number of options here. The first is regarding the sleep-wake button on the iPad or device. I would suggest that this is turned on so that you are still able to put the iPad to sleep while it's in guided access. The second is regarding the volume buttons, and again, generally I would suggest that this is turned on so that you can continue to adjust the volume levels up and down whilst it's in guided access. However, if you have a user who tends to turn the volume right up or right down, and you would prefer the volume to be set at a predetermined level, you can set that volume to that level and then turn that toggle off, and then there will not be access to the volume up and down buttons. The next item is motion. When motion is turned on, the iPad reacts as usual to motions like being shaken or to being rotated between portrait and landscape view. If you turn it off, you effectively lock the iPad into the current orientation, and gestures such as the shake will not work either. The next option is keyboards. When this is on, access to the iPad keyboard or iOS keyboard is available, and it will come up if you tap somewhere to type. If you turn this off, that keyboard will not appear when you tap in a screen to type. Then we have touch. Be sure to leave touch on, because turning it off will stop the touch screen from working.